When I was going through the discernment process for ordination, you couldn't catch me on a bad day. I don't remember having any. I moved through a year or more of prayer and conversation with my discernment committee as though it were a dream, in a constant mode of curiosity and affirmation that brought me closer and closer to God and to my community. It truly felt like divine inspiration being piped directly into my veins. It was astonishing and miraculous and easy in all the ways a heart desires to hear the unwavering call of God upon its beating. When I eventually began seminary, the ease of my life with God quickly changed. I was displaced from the church and friends who had been so important to me and my understanding of what God was calling me to do. I was living outside of Texas for the first time in my life. I had a very steep learning curve for topics and classes I'd never had any formal training in at a graduate school level. It was intensely humbling. My understanding of myself and my call became muddied. My prayer life became strained. I felt like I couldn't catch my breath, all in the first 5 months of school. And then my mom died. And shortly after that, her mom, my grandmother, died. And what had been strained and tense collapsed into a heap of despair and resentment. And for literal years, I fought and wrestled with God, wandered my way through a fog of anger and uncertainty, and spiritually and sometimes physically screamed for a more just and merciful life. This image of Jacob from our Genesis reading is an important parallel to those moments. Just as Jacob wrestled, injured though he was, for as long as necessary to pursue God's blessing, it gives us each permission to wrestle for as long as we need to, hurting or whole, in our pursuit of God's action in our lives. And even more, the widow we read about in Luke's account today takes it a step further. The phrase we read from the judge where he doesn't want to be bothered by the widow anymore could be translated a different way. It could read, doesn't want to be hit, smacked, have an eye blackened. The widow went so far as to threaten violence in pursuit of the justice and ruling she knew was needed to make life right. Sometimes we believe that our relationship with God is just a gentle breeze or a soft embrace. And sometimes it is. Sometimes we walk on air and move through the world with such gentleness that it seems as though God is stepping in to remove every obstacle and stumbling block, making our way straight and easy. Things just click. They work. Doors open. Our prayer life is sweet. Our purpose is clear. I think we've all had at least small glimpses of those seasons in our lives. But sometimes our relationship with God is an all-out brawl. Sometimes it feels as though every step is through wet cement. Every prayer is through gritted teeth, and we are hanging on for dear life, just trying to wrest a single blessing from God's lips. Or we're so frustrated at the lack of movement or justice that we see so clearly is out of alignment with God's hope for the world that we want to smack him